This page is the front cover of a gaming magazine promoting both N64 and Game Boy games, titled 64Dream. The cover is for the March 2001 issue, priced at 490 yen, and declares itself a New Year special, featuring a Dream Tech Hall of Fame special. It highlights that N64 games are still going strong, and advertises the upcoming Game Boy Advance. Games mentioned include Animal Crossing, Cubivore, Survival of the Fittest, Mickey's Racing Challenge USA, Mario Advance, Mario Kart Advance, Power Pro Kun Pocket 3, Bomberman Story, and Tactics Ogre Gaiden. The cover also announces a special Zelda sticker included with the magazine, and features Link and Zelda prominently, alongside other game characters. The next page showcases the Game Boy Color game, Zoids, Evil God Revival, Genobreaker Arc. It highlights the game's features, including capturing and modifying defeated Zoids to create powerful machines. Players can also battle and trade items with friends using a communication cable. The page mentions a special edition, Midnight Blue Command Wolf, and the game's price of 4,500 yen. The screenshots illustrate turn-based battles and menus within the game. This page is an announcement from 64Dream magazine to inform readers of a significant change. The magazine is changing its name to Nintendo Dream, effective from March 21, 2001. The announcement mentions that 64Dream started in July 1996, and thanks readers for their support over the past 4.5 years. The magazine states its commitment to continue covering Nintendo games, including upcoming titles for the Game Boy Advance and Nintendo GameCube, and will maintain its focus on Nintendo 64, Super Famicom, Game Boy, and all Nintendo hardware and software. This page is advertising a book series called Game Maestro, authored by Hidekuni Shida and Tomu Matsui, focusing on the history of TV games and the secrets behind million-selling titles. It's divided into 2 volumes. Volume 1, Conviction of the Masters, features interviews with pioneering game developers like Tomohiro Nishikado, Space Invaders, Toru Iwatani, Pac-Man, Shigeru Miyamoto, Super Mario Bros., and Hironobu Sakaguchi, Final Fantasy. Volume 2, Innovation of the Second Generation, highlights developers such as Hideo Kojima, Metal Gear Solid, Yuji Naka, Sonic the Hedgehog, and Tetsuya Mizuguchi, Space Channel 5. Both volumes are priced at 1,800 yen, plus tax, and are currently on sale. This page is the contents page for Volume 54 of 64Dream magazine, dated March 2001. The issue's main focus is the upcoming Game Boy Advance, highlighting its arrival with special features including interviews and new color announcements. A special New Year feature compiles secret techniques in a booklet format, and 64 games listed in the contents include Banjo-Tooie, Sin and Punishment, Successor of the Earth, Animal Leader, Animal Crossing, Doraemon, Nobita to Fukatsu no Hoshi, Napoleon Senki, Eroica, Bakukyu Renpatsu, Super Beat'em, Gekitu, Bomber Garavan, and Densha to Go, 64. The Game Index also lists N64 titles, such as Animal Leader and Animal Crossing, among a large number of Game Boy Advance games. Regular sections of the magazine include Nintendo Q&A, monthly news, release calendars, game rankings, reader contributions, and articles on gaming culture. This page is a Nintendo calendar of new release soft for January and February 2001, outlining the upcoming releases for Nintendo 64, Game Boy, and Game Boy Advance. The general outline section discusses the upcoming Game Boy Advance launch, highlighting its color variations and the number of launch titles expected to be around 20, emphasizing the anticipation for its release. The pickup section features 2 games, Bakunetsu Dodgeball Fighters for Game Boy Advance, and Biohazard Zero, Resident Evil Zero, for Nintendo GameCube. Bakunetsu Dodgeball Fighters is described as a survival dodgeball game with various techniques and team-based gameplay. Biohazard Zero, Resident Evil Zero, for GameCube, is mentioned as a creative upgrade and a return to the roots of the series, focusing on the character Rebecca Chambers and featuring new systems. A table lists Nintendo hardware and peripheral release schedule, with various accessories and their release dates and prices. The monthly calendar lists game releases and historical events. For January, N64 games mentioned are 64 Dream Magazine March issue, Mickey's Racing Challenge USA, and Donkey Kong 2001. For February, GB games mentioned are Samurai Kid, OHA Suta Dance Dance Revolution GB, Havelock-kun, Kachinuki Shogi Denshou Heian Shinjuku Tenrankai Hen, and Pocket King. 64Dream magazine April issue is mentioned for a future release in February. This page presents two top 10 ranking lists related to N64 games. The first ranking is for N64 anticipated new titles top 10, focusing on upcoming games. At the top is Animal Crossing, followed by Animal Leader, and Panel de Pon 64. Other games in this anticipated list include Conker's Bad Fur Day, listed as Conker's Quest, Sliding Puzzle Rajan, Eco Delta, Modern Great Strategy Ultimate War, Super Black Bass 64, Flight Simulator, and Wipeout 64. The accompanying text explains that this ranking is based on reader anticipation and mentions the influence of the upcoming Game Boy Advance release on N64 game expectations. The second ranking is for N64 software top 10 that are selling well, showcasing the current best-selling N64 titles. Mario Party 3 tops this chart, followed by Pokémon Stadium 2 and Banjo-Tooie. Other top sellers include Custom Robo V2, Mario Tennis 64, Sin and Punishment, Successor of the Earth, Shiren the Wanderer 2, Paper Mario, Super Smash Bros., and Perfect Dark. The page also highlights Banjo-Tooie in a Pickup section with a screenshot, describing it as a refreshing action game, and the second entry in the series, praising the dynamic duo of Banjo and Kazooie. A survey reveals that most people, 74%, only buy strategy guides when needed, with 20% buying them with the game and 6% not buying them. The survey also highlights strategy guide ownership, noting a record holder with 150 guides. The page features an N64 strategy guide top 10 list, with GoldenEye 007 topping the list, followed by Pokémon Stadium 2 and Star Wars: Shadows of the Empire. The page also promotes the Perfect Dark strategy guide, emphasizing its detailed features. Additionally, the page includes other rankings for Game Boy software and a Crying Masterpiece Drama top 10, unrelated to the N64 list. This page showcases the new Game Boy Advance, emphasizing its arrival and features. It highlights the color variations available for the hardware, mentioning that the core specifications and release dates remain as announced, with the release set for March 21st at a price of 9,800 yen. The page lists technical specifications including the CPU, memory, screen details, sound capabilities, communication features, dimensions, weight, and battery life. It praises the new horizontal design as a major improvement, making it comfortable to hold and play. Information is provided on game compatibility, stating that the Game Boy Advance can play dedicated Game Boy Advance cartridges as well as older Game Boy and Game Boy Color games. For extended playtime, it mentions optional accessories, like a separate AC adapter and a battery pack with charger set, both also launching on March 21st with their respective prices. This page is all about the upcoming Game Boy Advance and its software lineup. It highlights the connectivity features, showcasing the link cable for up to 4 players to battle in compatible games, and also the mobile adapter GB for network play and connecting to the GameCube. Several exciting games are previewed. First up is Mario Advance, which is likely Super Mario Advance, showing screenshots of classic Mario platforming. Mario Kart Advance is also featured, promising kart racing action on the go. Play novel Silent Hill is mentioned, suggesting an intriguing text-based adventure in the Silent Hill universe. F-Zero for Game Boy Advance is shown with high-speed futuristic racing gameplay. Fire Emblem, The Binding Blade, localized name, is introduced with tactical RPG battles, noting the speaker's anticipation as a longtime fan. Tactics Ogre Gaiden is also mentioned, another strategy RPG title. Lastly, Rockman XE, Mega Man Battle Network in the West, is included, highlighting action-packed gameplay. The page expresses excitement for the GBA hardware itself and the potential for various gaming experiences, including connecting to the GameCube, Nintendo's next-generation console, and successor to the N64, for even more possibilities. It concludes with a general enthusiastic anticipation for the GBA's release. This page is a preview for Mario Advance on the Game Boy Advance, which is stated to be a launch title for the system in Japan, released on March 21st. The game is described as an action title that is reminiscent of Super Mario USA, Super Mario Bros. 2 internationally, focusing on the action of picking up and throwing enemies. The screenshots showcase jungle and nighttime levels, with characters like Shy Guys and Toads appearing. It is highlighted that Luigi is playable and can jump higher than other characters. The game also features a 4-player versus battle mode, bringing back the original Mario Bros. Experience. The page suggests that Mario Advance is a must-buy game alongside the Game Boy Advance system launch, describing it as a nostalgic Mario game. This page presents a look at upcoming Game Boy Advance titles. The first game featured is Mario Kart Advance, highlighted as the definitive portable Mario Kart experience for up to 4 players. It is mentioned as a very popular title announced at Space World the previous year. Screenshots showcase various courses, including one with Peach's Castle in the distance, a desolate wilderness course at dusk, and a spooky ghost house course familiar from the Super Famicom era. The second game previewed is an RPG called Golden Sun. The text describes a world facing a great crisis due to the release of sealed ancient science and alchemy. The story centers around a young boy named Robin, whose adventure will determine the fate of the world. Screenshots depict village and interior scenes, potentially involving explanations of in-game energy mechanics, and temple environments hinting at hidden mysteries. The battle scenes, while appearing 2Ds, are noted to utilize 3D processing, promising dynamic and engaging combat. The game is highly anticipated. This page showcases 4 upcoming Game Boy Advance games. Firstly, there's Fire Emblem, Ankoku no Miko, which was eventually localized as Fire Emblem, The Binding Blade outside Japan. A simulation game, and the next entry in the Fire Emblem series. It introduces a new world and protagonist, Eliren, set in the dark continent of Elibe, and promises evolved battle scenes including arena battles and an improved battle system. Next is Tactics Ogre Gaiden, released internationally as Tactics Ogre, The Knight of Lotus, a simulation RPG expanding the Tactics Ogre universe, also for the GBA. This title is set in a fantasy world and emphasizes character-driven events and world map exploration. Then we have F-Zero for Game Boy Advance, released internationally as F-Zero Maximum Velocity, a high-speed racing game priced at 4,800 yen and slated for release on March 21st. It offers a portable F-Zero experience with up to 4-player battles via link cable. Lastly, Magical Vacation, a role-playing game set in a magic school. Developed by Brownie Brown, this RPG promises an engaging fantasy adventure, with screenshots showing locations like a magic school and a seaside area. This page is showcasing upcoming Game Boy Advance titles. First up is Umana Daikessen, a horse racing game blending RPG elements with racing action, where players take on the role of a horse owner to train and race horses, even predicting race outcomes. Next is Game Boy Wars Advance, a strategy simulation game known for its simple rules, now enhanced with a campaign mode and multiplayer for up to 4 players. Then we have Napoleon, a real-time war simulation game where you step into the boots of Napoleon to command troops and conquer in battle. Finally, Kuru Kuru Kururin is highlighted, an action game where you control Kurin, a bird character on a quest to save their siblings across 10 diverse worlds. The next page showcases Winning Post for Game Boy Advance. It's a horse racing simulation game where you become a horse owner with 150 million yen, purchase horses, and aim to raise the world's strongest racehorse. You'll meet trainers, farm managers, and other horse owners as you interact within the horse racing world, building relationships and experience drama. The game allows you to buy foals, train horses, and participate in races. There are mini-games and elements to manage your horse's condition. Screenshots show various aspects of the game, including races and interactions with characters. The game is set to be released on March 21st for 5,800 yen. This page is an advertisement for Power Pro Kun Pocket 3 on the Game Boy Advance. It highlights this latest entry in the Power Pro Pocket series as a highly anticipated title for the GBA, appealing to baseball fans. The game boasts improved graphics and deeper gameplay, particularly in the baseball simulation aspect. The page introduces the Success Mode story, where the main character, Power Pro Kun, is a cyborg. Screenshots showcase the gameplay and characters, including Power Pro, Kameda-kun, Satomi, Hinako, Yukari, a Propeller Gang member, the boss, and Dr. Kurosawa. The advertisement details the game's genre as sports/baseball, supporting 12 players, and compatible with the GBA communication cable for multiplayer. It emphasizes the quality of the graphics and the pure fun of playing baseball anywhere with this title. This page previews the Game Boy Advance game, Konami YY Racing Advance. It highlights the game's main mode, YY Grand Prix, where players progress through 4 cups: YY Cup, Hyper Cup, Premium Cup, and Champion Cup. Each cup consists of 4 courses. To advance to the next cup, players must complete tests after finishing each cup's races and achieving first place overall. These tests involve time attack and match races. The page also introduces helper characters like Sasuke, Dino, Moai, and Michael, suggesting they play a role in the game. Screenshots show in-game racing action, test menus, and results screens, indicating the game's progression and gameplay mechanics. This page showcases item attacks in a racing game, designed to disrupt opponents. It details various items like the red and blue bell, engine turbo for a speed boost, wrap to become invisible, time bomber as a landmine, barrier for defense, blue and red missiles to attack directly. Other items include ice crash to freeze opponents, electric battery for an electric shock, and pigs to cause confusion. The page also introduces friend spark items, which summon helper characters. These helpers include Winspy, Yabechi the baseball player, and Reaper, each offering unique assistance during the race. This page introduces Star Communicator for the Game Boy Advance, a brand new game where you raise a cute character called Tsutokomi and communicate via email. It's described as a mailer and raising simulation game. The page highlights that players start with a slime-like Tsutokomi and nurture it through mail exchanges with friends, using the mobile adapter GB. It also mentions that the Tsutokomi character will evolve and grow. The game features detailed personality settings and various reactions from your Tsutokomi, making interactions feel lively. Screenshots show in-game interfaces like email screens, BBS, and Heartbox, suggesting social and relationship aspects. Mini-games are also featured, including puzzle games, which contribute to raising your Tsutokomi. The game seems designed to be a fun way to communicate and raise a character simultaneously. This page highlights 2 Game Boy Advance titles. First up is Play Novel Silent Hill, a game that brings the PlayStation's terrifying Silent Hill experience to the GBA. It's described as a complete novelization of the original game, aiming to deliver the same level of fear and suspense. You play as Harry, lost in a fog-covered town, searching for his missing daughter, and encountering unknown creatures. The game also features female police officer Sibyl, a key character from the PlayStation version, and the story branches based on player choices, leading to multiple endings. Screenshots showcase Harry exploring the eerie town and Sibyl pointing a gun. Next we have JGTO Certified Golf Master Japan Golf Tour game, a golf simulation game also for the GBA. This title aims for realistic courses and features top Japanese pro golfers. It boasts vibrant courses and offers 4-player communication battles as a new element. There are 6 courses and 5 game modes, with 12 real-life professional golfers appearing in the game, including names like Maruyama Shigeki, Tanaka Hide, and the 3 Ozaki brothers, representing well-known figures in the Japanese golf scene. Screenshots display in-game golf action, course selection, and player profiles, suggesting a comprehensive golf experience playable on the go. This page is about the Game Boy Advance game Mega Man Battle Network. It presents a scenario where the town's water supply suddenly stops one morning, causing trouble for the residents. The main character, Neto Hikari, Lon Hikari in English, is depicted investigating this issue. The page features screenshots from the game showing conversations related to the water outage, with characters expressing their concerns about not being able to use water for drinking or cooking. It mentions that even the school's toilets are unusable due to the water problem, highlighting the seriousness of the situation. The game is described as having a mystery element where players need to find the cause of the water outage, possibly an accident, or something more sinister. The game information box details that Mega Man Battle Network is for the Game Boy Advance, developed and published by Capcom, planned for release in March, with an unconfirmed price. It's a Capcom genre game for 1 to 2 players, and supports the Game Boy Advance communication cable for multiplayer. The text emphasizes the game's setting in a near future, where network crimes by computer viruses are common, and how the protagonist, Neto, and Mega Man fight against these viruses. This page is a preview for the Game Boy Advance game, likely Mega Man Battle Network 2. It introduces the character Enzan Ijuin and his Navi, Blues. The preview describes a scenario where the player, Neto, goes to the waterworks in Denton Town to investigate water supply issues and encounters Enzan. Gameplay details are explained, including navigating the cyber world, battling viruses, and using battle chips. Screenshots illustrate exploration and combat, showing the battle system where players control Rockman in a grid-based field and utilize battle chips for attacks. The page also highlights Gutsman, Dekao's Navi, who can be summoned in battle using battle chips. This page introduces the Game Boy Advance game Momotaro Matsuri, Peach Boy Festival. It's described as a variety RPG, where you play as Momotaro and must regain the trust of the villagers. The story involves the Kappa brothers causing mischief and framing Momotaro. To prove his innocence, Momotaro has to demonstrate his strength. Screenshots show gameplay, where Momotaro interacts with villagers, breaks rocks by repeatedly pressing buttons, and faces challenges to regain the villagers' trust. The game was developed by Hudson Soft and scheduled for release on March 21st, with the price listed as undetermined. It's a single-player game. This page highlights the game Ganbare Goemon Kirakira Duchu, Boku ga Dancer ni Nata Wake, for the Nintendo 64, which was only released in Japan. The top section introduces a scenario where the kind-hearted Urashima Taro is trying to cure a sick turtle. Screenshots show gameplay of exploring a cave and encountering characters. The middle section shifts to the Ice Tower, showcasing gameplay in an icy environment where players aim to meet Princess Yasha. Screenshots depict various traps and challenges within the tower. The bottom section mentions many other characters appearing in the game, with screenshots featuring scenes with sleeping characters, a funny-looking enemy, and interactions with townspeople. The page emphasizes the diverse cast and scenarios players will experience in this Goemon adventure. This page is a game preview for Bomberman Story on the Game Boy Advance. It's an action RPG where Bomberman goes to the planet Fantalion because something strange is happening there, and Bomberman Base has sent out an SOS. Dr. Ein sends Max to investigate, but Max goes missing. Bomberman is then dispatched to Fantalion to rescue Max. The info panel details the game as Bomberman Story, published by Hudson, with a spring release date and priced at 4,800 yen. It's an action RPG, supporting 1 to 4 players and compatible with the GBA cable. The page highlights that Max from the Bomberman series also appears in this title. Screenshots show gameplay on Fantalion and scenes with Max and Bomberman. The text describes the story setup and Max getting caught up in an incident on Fantalion. This page introduces a Bomberman adventure game for the Game Boy Advance, where you befriend creatures called Caraban to progress. The game revolves around solving the mystery of Fantalion Planet's anomaly and rescuing Max. You'll pilot the bomber shuttle, and Dr. Ein will teach you the basic controls. You can befriend Caraban, and there are various types, each with unique abilities that help you in your adventure. Combining 2 Caraban unlocks further potential. Examples of Caraban mentioned are unicorns and elephant. When you take Caraban with you, enemies will also appear alongside them. The page also highlights the first ever 4-player battle mode in a handheld Bomberman game. By connecting Game Boy Advances with a cable, you can engage in multiplayer battles. There's mention of hidden secrets in this GBA Bomberman title. 3 stage types for the battle mode are shown: a standard stage, Jirai Panic, with hidden landmines, and Guru Guru Belt Conveyor, featuring conveyor belts. This page introduces Pinobi, Quest of Heart for the Game Boy Advance. The game's story revolves around the insect robot Pinobi, who must rescue his kidnapped grandpa from an evil insect army. Pinobi is still incomplete, lacking a heart, and his adventure is also about finding and completing his own heart. Gameplay focuses on stage-based action, where Pinobi needs to clear stages and experience various things to complete his heart. Stages are filled with different gimmicks and are action-oriented. Items can be collected to power up Pinobi, with collecting similar items strengthening him. A unique diary system is featured, where Pinobi keeps a diary that changes based on the player's actions in the game. The diary's contents evolve depending on how you play, and even the enemies evolve. Screenshots illustrate the diary entries which reflect in-game actions. For example, defeating enemies or collecting items. The diary system appears to track Pinobi's growth and the game world's evolution based on player choices. This page is advertising 2 Game Boy Advance games. The first is Fire Pro Wrestling, a wrestling game series known for its depth and customization. This version is the first handheld release in the series and features new modes such as one-night match and tournament, alongside style-based match formats and a total of 7 playable modes. The game boasts a roster of 200 wrestlers from 16 different groups, including familiar names like Fighter Yamato and groups like Super No VA, along with 4 new groups. The screenshots highlight gameplay and wrestler selection screens, showing various wrestlers and match types. The second game featured is Doraemon, tentative title, an action game where Doraemon and friends are rescuing Jyaster from invaders on a green star. Players control Doraemon to defeat boss characters. It features a cooperative play mode for up to 4 players using communication cables. The screenshots display in-game scenes and character interactions, and mentions villains are the Punju combo. This page showcases upcoming Game Boy Advance titles. First up is All Japan GT Championship, a racing game from Kemco where you aim to become a GT 300 class driver and move up to the GT 500 Works team. Next is Tweety and the Magic Jewel, a party game also from Kemco featuring Looney Tunes characters like Tweety, for 14 players to enjoy minigames and adventures. Infinite Strange Journey Zero Lotzers, an RPG by Media Ring, is also featured where you explore a bizarre world where people wear strange costumes and communicate with each other to progress through dungeons. Finally, Mr. Driller 2 from Namco is highlighted, a digging puzzle action game where you must keep drilling downwards while managing your air supply and avoiding falling blocks. The page indicates a release date of March 21st for All Japan GT Championship, Tweety and the Magic Jewel, and Mr. Driller 2. This page introduces the N64 game Cubivore, Survival of the Fittest, originally known in Japan as Dobutsu Banchou. It's described as a unique hunting game, the first of its kind on the N64, where you play as a weak cube animal, a pig called Dobutsu, aiming to reach the top of the food chain through transformation. The core gameplay revolves around eating creatures called ironic to mutate and become stronger. Different colored IRO Dobutsu types are highlighted with their abilities. Red jaw types are good at jumping attacks. Blue jaw types excel at tackling from a distance. Yellow jaw types have strong attacks and defense. Purple mammary types specialize in quick back attacks, and gray beast types are balanced overall. The page emphasizes that darker Niku, meat, obtained by eating stronger ironic, leads to more powerful transformations. To get even darker ironic, you need to obtain Namaniku, raw meat, items, which are held by specific enemies like animal soldiers, animal elders, animal heads, and animal bosses. Finally, it explains how to increase Niku by defeating boss-class enemies and having Kubi, which seems to refer to mating or offspring, thus increasing the amount of meat you possess. The page essentially breaks down the core mechanics of eating creatures, evolving, and collecting items to become the strongest animal. This page is a preview for the Nintendo 64 game Dobutsu no Mori, which was later released internationally as Animal Crossing. The article highlights the core concept of the game, where players live in a forest village and befriend animal residents through the changing seasons. The preview showcases starting the game by arriving at the village, meeting Tanukichi at the train station, who seems to guide the player initially. It also features Rover, a cat who helps the player find a house. Screenshots show interactions with various animal villagers like Dosako. The game is described as a communication genre, emphasizing the social aspect of living alongside animal characters. It is noted for being a single-player game, and mentions controller pack compatibility for saving progress. The Japanese release date is listed as March 2001, and the price as 5,800 yen. The article suggests that time progresses in the game, influencing villager interactions and experiences. This page is all about the game Animal Crossing. It explains that in one village, up to 4 players can have houses and play together, although not simultaneously. Using a controller pack, you can even send your character to a friend's village. The page highlights how villagers' personalities are reflected in their homes, and how the game world changes with seasons, mentioning Valentine's Day as an upcoming event. It shows various interactions with villagers, including dialogue examples from characters like Dosako, Fang, Paolo, Pinky, and others. Activities such as bug catching, fishing, and using the village bulletin board are also featured. The Happy Room Academy seems to assess your home's interior design. Lastly, it touches upon visiting other villages, using the train station and controller pack to experience different villages. This page is about the Nintendo 64 game Mickey's Racing Challenge, USA. It's a racing game for 1 to 4 players released on January 21, 2001, priced at 6,800 yen, and is compatible with the Vibration Pack. The page details several game modes. In Race Series, players can choose from 3 race types: Traffic Series, Motorway Series, and Freeway Series, competing to be the overall champion. Time Trial Mode challenges players to beat set times on courses to earn goal challenge tokens. Training mode is a practice area to get accustomed to the controls. VS mode allows 2 to 4 players to race against each other. Finally, contest mode is a balloon battle game for 1 to 4 players, where the goal is to pop opponents' balloons while protecting your own. The screenshots show in-game racing action and mode selection screens. This page is focused on the Nintendo 64 game Mickey's Speedway USA. It highlights the simple controls of the game, explaining that players can use the R trigger for power slides to navigate corners effectively. The page then asks, which character will you play as, and introduces 6 playable characters: Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, Donald Duck, Daisy Duck, Goofy, and Pete. For each character, there is a screenshot of them racing and stat bars for weight, handling, acceleration, and speed, along with brief descriptions highlighting their strengths. For example, Mickey is described as having stable handling, Minnie as good for beginners, Donald as balanced, Daisy with good acceleration, Goofy as heavy, and Pete as fast. The page also mentions weapons and shows screenshots of in-game items such as a storm cloud to slow opponents, a shield shell for invincibility and speed boosts, and paint spots to cause slipping. The page concludes by asking, are there any other characters that will appear? This page introduces the mobile system GB, a new service for Game Boy Color that launches on January 27th. It highlights the new relationship between mobile phones and the Game Boy, with the mobile adapter GB releasing on the same day for 9,800 yen. The page explains what is needed to use the mobile system GB, which includes preparing a compatible mobile phone or PHS and purchasing the mobile adapter GB. Different adapter types are shown for various mobile phone standards like PDC, CDMAONE, and PHS. The mobile trainer is included as an accessory. It also mentions fees associated with the service, including a registration fee, internet connection fees, and content usage charges. The registration process through DION is illustrated with screenshots on the Game Boy Color screen. Finally, it lists compatible Game Boy Color software, including Pokemon Crystal version, Land, Game Boy Wars Pocket Tactics, Telefang, Cardmaster, True Card Battle, Get Minigame at 100, and Mario Golf GB. This page is all about the mobile system GB and how it can be used with Pokemon Crystal version. It details several features, starting with using email to communicate with friends and exchange mail messages. Then it moves on to accessing the Nintendo mobile homepage for game information and content. The page explains that downloading content for the homepage will incur communication fees. Setting up a profile is also covered, allowing players to create a trainer profile that can be used in trades. Pokemon News is another feature, accessible through the Pokemon Communication Center, PCC, which offers paid content like Pokemon News and Battle Tower rankings. The page also highlights trading Pokemon with friends and engaging in mobile battles, even with distant friends, through the mobile system GB. It specifies that mobile battles are limited to 10 minutes per day. A game detail box for Pokemon Crystal version confirms it's for Game Boy Color, published by Nintendo, in the RPG genre, for 1 player and using a communication cable and mobile adapter GB. The game was already on sale at a price of 3,800 yen. This page is all about strategies for the final 2 stages of Banjo-Tooie, the N64 adventure game. The page highlights the Hot Ice Mountain stage, which is divided into Hot Side and Ice Side. It gives tips on how to navigate the cliff area entrance and how to defeat the boss within the Hot Ice Mountain stage, using special actions like the Rucksack Man and Glider. The page details step-by-step instructions on how to get a jigsaw piece, which is a collectible item in the game, within the Hot Ice Mountain stage. It mentions using separate switches in a specific order, using Banjo alone, Kazooie alone, and then both characters together to progress. It also points out a minigame in the Coliseum area, where you can clear it to get another jigsaw piece. And it mentions using bomb eggs to break walls in the back room of the Mayan temple. This guide provides tips to collect jigsaw pieces in Banjo-Kazooie. It offers strategies for various areas, including Ice Side, Hot Side, Pterodactyland, and Gruntilda Industries. Tips include rescuing Saberman using Mumbo's magic and transportation, utilizing Shupo the train and the Beakbuster on a camel, completing tasks involving a fish and Boggy, reviving aliens and finding their children, transforming into a snowball and using a switch on a mining machine, and reaching the Ice Side door in Pterodactyland. Additional advice covers Jolly's Resort, Gruntilda Industries, accessing Skybridge Plateau, and utilizing a rainbow bridge created by Mumbo. The guide also details obtaining a jigsaw by using Kazooie's glider to reach an island. This guide provides tips for finding jigsaw pieces in Banjo-Kazooie. It details strategies for specific challenges within the game. Players can obtain a jigsaw piece from Oomba's tent using the bee transformation, and another by defeating Canary Mary in Kirin Mine. Defeating 4 Ibora's Jijium with the bee transformation is also advised. Players can also win a jigsaw by beating Mr. Fit in a sports competition. Other strategies include floating through the cheese in the sack racecourse to find a jigsaw, using a cannon flower to reach Center Cave's castle entrance, and unlocking the Superstash DX safe by finding and inputting a code. Finally, defeating Minger Jongo in Sky Paradise rewards a jigsaw piece. This page provides gameplay tips and cheat codes for the final stage of Banjo-Kazooie, Majo no Oshiro, Witch's Castle. It details how to access the castle by activating switches, and discusses Gruntilda's final battle, including her evolving attack patterns as her health decreases. The guide emphasizes dodging attacks and utilizing special moves, like the Harisen Kazooie and Homing Egg. A minigame quiz with Gruntilda is also described, requiring players to answer questions correctly to avoid being squashed. The document also highlights a series of cheat codes entered in the Treasure Trove Cove Sandcastle, granting advantages such as infinite health, energy, and eggs, as well as unlocking all doors and other helpful abilities. Quote, "This page showcases the Nintendo 64 game Sin and Punishment, Successor of the Earth." The page features character artwork and includes a game information box detailing the title, publisher Nintendo, its current availability for sale, the price of 5,800 yen, cartridge size of 256 MB, genre as action shooting, 12-player support, and Rumble Pack compatibility. Japanese text on the page includes taglines that translate to questions such as, "Is that a sin? Or is it punishment?" and "Who will be recognized as the successor of the Earth?" This page is a preview of Mission 31 in the N64 game Hybrid Heaven, set in a location called Hot Hot Island, the Ruffian's Nest. Continuing from Mission 2, it introduces the final stage where Saki, who transformed into a giant monster, is returning to her original form. The story mentions Akiachi and his true objective, different from what was previously understood. The screenshots detail gameplay scenarios where the player, likely controlling Iruna, encounters various Rufifian enemies in sandy beach and building environments. Gameplay tips suggest observing enemy movements, using teleportation, and targeting enemy weak points for effective attacks. Specific enemy types mentioned include fish-type Rulefians, beetle-type Rulefians, spider-seekers, and octopus seekers. Strategies like dodging spiderwebs and using counterattacks are also highlighted. The preview ends with the characters considering their next steps after defeating the Rulefians. Mission 32 in Sin and Punishment involves rescuing Illyrian from Achiki, facing a horde of Luthifians on a non-scrolling stage. Players must manually advance rightward, constantly fighting enemies attacking from all sides while escaping a giant, invincible monster. Sword attacks are crucial, especially against dragonfly-like Lufians, and to stun the chaser's head, avoiding its fire. The guide emphasizes vigilance against bullet barrages, laser beams, and commanders, which require specific counterattacks. Timed sword slashes are necessary for spinning obstacles, and targeting green orbs grants points. Airborne enemies provide commander bonuses, and bird-type Lufians breathe fire. Careful, methodical combat is advised, with step-by-step progress in areas with poor visibility to avoid ambushes. Ignoring Lufians that provide commander bonuses will lead to difficulty. The next page previews the final stage, Mission 33 of the N64 game Mischief Makers. It highlights the intense showdown with Archie and Saki, suggesting players should witness the conclusion for themselves and prepare for a heavy story. The article mentions the game's difficulty, particularly in normal mode, and that clearing it unlocks the even harder, hard mode. Screenshots illustrate gameplay scenarios, including encounters with Lufian commanders and strategies for rolling and avoiding damage. The text advises players to be ready to use continues on this stage, and suggests that while normal mode can be cleared, the difficulty is above normal. This page is an advertisement for Nintendo game strategy guides. At the top, it highlights strategy guides for 2 Pokemon games, Pocket Monsters Crystal version for Game Boy, and Pokemon Stadium Gold and Silver for the Nintendo 64, announcing a release date of February 2nd. The Crystal version guide boasts a special unbreakable map, while the Pokemon Stadium Guide emphasizes Pokemon battles and a complete Pokemon chart. Below these, the advert promotes 4 more strategy guides. For Nintendo 64, there are guides for Perfect Dark, promising perfect capture completion with CG maps and secrets for all stages, and GoldenEye 007, Banjo-Kazooie 2 highlighting getting all 90 jigsaw pieces guaranteed, and Mario Party 3 aiming to get the Millennium Star with minigame and board map strategies. For Game Boy, a guide for Mario Tennis GB is advertised as a smash hit with easy controls. The prices for most guides are 980 yen, except for the Perfect Dark guide, which is priced at 1,280 yen. All of these guides are published by MYCOM. This page is from the From Letters section and is the illustration corner. It features reader letters and responses from the magazine editors. One reader asks about the magazine's plans and schedule for 2001, and the editor responds by stating that 2001 will be the year they focus on wrapping up the N64 era, hinting the GameCube launch might not be in the summer, and the magazine name 64Dream might change, but they reassure readers they won't forget the N64. Another reader expresses concern about the magazine abandoning the N64, to which the editor clarifies they are not, and will continue to support the N64 and even Super Famicom if interesting software appears. A question about popular game genres in the 21st century is asked, and the editor predicts RPGs, simulation games, and fighting games like Smash Bros. Will remain popular. They also anticipate network games becoming mainstream, and personally hope for the popularity of games like Animal Crossing. Another letter asks who decides page allocation, and the editor mentions Mashi is mainly responsible, but editorial staff and reader requests are also considered. There is a section discussing the buzz around Mario's age, inspired by Miyamoto's talk, and it includes a dialogue from an English textbook about Mario's age being estimated at around 35. The page also showcases reader-submitted illustrations, which cover a variety of general gaming and character themes like Mickey Mouse, Digimon, Kirby, Tales of Fantasia, and Pokemon Card GB. This page is a sticker sheet featuring popular Nintendo characters. It highlights stickers from The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons and The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Ages, noting they are stickers from the Oracle of Mysterious Tree Zelda games. Donkey Kong stickers are also present, identified as being from Donkey Kong 2001. Additionally, there is a section at the bottom showcasing stickers for Mario Advance, which is labeled as a first appearance. The stickers feature various characters and scenes from these games, including Link, Zelda, Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong, Cranky Kong, King K. Rool, Mario, Luigi, Peach, Toad, and enemies. The top text promotes these character stickers, including Zelda, Mario, and Donkey Kong, as popular Nintendo characters. The top left corner mentions 64Dream and a release date in April, suggesting this is a promotional item from the magazine. This page presents a manga comic strip titled Dream Dunker. It features Bowser, Shy Guy, and a new character named Joe, who's seen lost in a desert despite intending to go to the sea. Bowser is complaining about their predicament, blaming it on someone for getting lost. They then encounter a character named James McCloud who introduces himself and asks if they live nearby. Bowser boldly declares himself as the future Great Demon King and introduces Shy Guy and Joe as his minions. The bottom text mentions that Bowser and his crew were supposed to be guided to the sea by Dream Dunker but ended up in the desert, hinting at ongoing comedic mishaps. This page showcases a manga strip where 2 characters, one resembling a dog with sunglasses, are in a crashed spacecraft. They discuss the engine failure and the complicated, unrepairable machinery inside. They express concern about their situation and the need to find a solution, but with conditions attached to any help. Below the manga is a section titled Illustration POW Introduction, featuring reader submissions. One submission includes a drawing of James McCloud from Star Fox 64, praising the game. Another features an original cute girl character, and the last one depicts Peach and Mario, with a comment about wanting to raise Peach, presumably inspired by a game featuring these characters. This manga strip centers on gaming humor, beginning with a character puzzled by blueprints for a flying machine. The goal is to elicit a surprised reaction from Oyaji by building a flying castle. The scene shifts as spiky enemies approach a vehicle, prompting a hurried evacuation. Characters debate the feasibility of flight, with one insisting they can pull and stretch their way into the air. The final panel questions potential space travel. Bottom of the page features an illustrator's message introduction, showcasing drawings from artists in various Japanese prefectures. The messages complement the artwork, mentioning characters like Koopa and Dream Drunker, and highlighting cute or interesting elements within the illustrations. This page is a manga comic strip page featuring characters seemingly navigating a game-like scenario with obstacles and enemies. The comic appears to be related to the Mario universe, mentioning Koopa and hinting at future appearances of Mario and Luigi. The top panels show characters in a tense situation, possibly a chase, with dialogue indicating urgency and planning. The middle panels depict them encountering more challenges, including spiky obstacles, but they seem to be strategizing their escape. The bottom panels include text boxes that talk about characters like Killer Joe, Star, and Koopa, suggesting a storyline focused on these figures and possibly children and a Demon King theme. It also mentions anticipated appearances of brothers and princesses and assures Luigi fans that Mario and Luigi will appear eventually due to fan demand. The page ends with "To be continued," indicating it's part of an ongoing series in the 64Dream magazine. This GameSoft Fan Club 2 page features fan sections dedicated to various games. The Smash Bros. FC allows fans to submit character and move ideas. Another section discusses potential Nintendo character inclusions, with fans suggesting Samus, without her suit, Zelda, and Impa. The Pokemon FC focuses on Pokemon Crystal and Stadium, seeking Battle Tower rankings and hinting at a possible event with Mashi. Finally, the Zelda Guidance section hopes for a revival of the 64DD Zelda game and requests costume ideas for Link, particularly a red, fire-resistant outfit. Fan art includes drawings of Smash Bros., Pokemon, and Zelda characters. This page is a magazine update focusing on fan clubs and upcoming games. There's a section for the Star Fox FAC discussing ideas for the next game, with fans wondering if it will be adventure style and potentially similar to Resident Evil or 007. They also mention New Year shrine visits and feature fan art, including a focus on Leon fans. The Fighter Emblem LFC section talks about the game's setting on the dark continent of Alez and the Barun Kingdom invasion, questioning story links and character details, again with fan art and reader questions related to FE characters like N Knight and Olwen. The Ogre section discusses the battle system being tactics style, not the traditional Ogre style, and asks fans' opinions, suggesting familiar characters like Canopus will appear, alongside more fan art. Finally, the GameCube section questions if Luigi will appear, referencing a Luigi's Mansion demo and confirming his appearance in a GBA Mario game, with Mario fan art. The page ends by announcing the Game Fan Club section will be renewed and expanded to 3 pages in the next issue, inviting character fan art submissions. This almost Rokuyan copy-esque corner features humorous one-liners about Nintendo 64 characters submitted by readers. Mario's section highlights his iconic traits, while Luigi is playfully portrayed. Kirby's abilities and Link's forest hero status are also humorously described. Peach is jokingly suspected of being in Bowser's group. Wario is presented as a self-proclaimed king. Shigeru Miyamoto is praised. Fox McCloud is described as Jet Fox. Pichu is portrayed as a cuddly Pokemon. Siren as resilient, and Nintendo Heroine is depicted as captivating and wholesome. The corner ends, thanking readers for their contributions and announcing future reader-submitted content. This page is from the Dream Technique Hall of Fame, and it's a special Oni, or Demon version. It's advertising a 2000 software secret technique complete collection, featuring secret techniques for 27 titles, from late 1999 to the year 2000. This is Volume 7 of the Dream Technique Collection, described as a yearly festival of secret techniques focusing on software released at the end of the century. The image features fierce deity Link, likely indicating the type of in-depth content within. This page is the contents for Driteku's Hall of Fame special, highlighting top software from late 1999 to 2000. It lists games like Excitebike 64, The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask, Perfect Dark, and Paper Mario, alongside several Japan-only releases for the N64, including Custom Robo, SimCity 64, and the 64DD console. The page provides a key to genre abbreviations and button notations used in the magazine. It also displays covers from the previous 6 Hall of Fame special editions. Additionally, the page includes instructions on safely removing the magazine's middle binding appendix, warning against dangerous methods, and emphasizing the use of safe tools to prevent injury. An image of Majora's Mask is prominently featured. This guide details unlockables and features for Resident Evil 2. It covers costume changes unlocked via a key in the police station, cheat codes for unlimited ammo, invincibility, and character unlocks, hunk, tofu, are listed via button combinations. Random mode randomizes item placements after completing a scenario. Examining Wesker's desk unlocks Hidden Film D, revealing Rebecca Chambers. Powerful weapons like the minigun, Gatling gun, and rocket launcher are unlocked by meeting specific S-rank requirements in rear play and completing scenarios under time constraints and with item restrictions. A visual trick allows bullet holes to appear on screen. Finally, a humorous section points out a JoJo reference, potentially related to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. The N64 version of Resident Evil 2 features 16 unique EX files, split into front and back sides, offering expanded lore. The front files include Robert's letter and David's memo, hinting at weaponry, Great Novelist's will, and Jill's notes and report, providing character insights. Other front files such as City Guide, newspaper reporter's notes, and internal communication reveal city corruption and Umbrella's involvement. The back files detail the outbreak, including Mercenary's diary and Brad's memo. Rebecca's and Chris's reports describe post-mansion incidents and Irons' actions. Instructions and job information explore Umbrella's operations. While research progress on progenitor virus and MA121 research and development progress report provide details on virus research and connections to the Ashford family and the G virus. This page is a special feature in a magazine about Donkey Kong 64. It talks about unlocking the mystery mode by taking photos of banana fairies in the game. Collecting all 201 golden bananas unlocks a special long version ending. The mystery mode includes options like rewatching previously seen cutscenes in the DK Theater, playing minigames from the Landby and Engarde arenas if you have N64 coins and rare coins respectively, battling past bosses, using Crusher in battles, and having unlimited uses of cheats. The page also gives a gameplay tip about slipping on banana peels in Donkey Kong's house, and another tip about a hidden dolphin in DK Island that hints at the next generation of GameCube. The lower half of the page covers the adventure game 2 Yakuchu 2 Murderous Sea Route. It details branching sub-scenarios and epilogues within the dynasty. For the sub-scenarios, it explains that playing through the good ending at least once is a prerequisite. Sub-scenario 1 involves choices after getting on a rescue boat, unlocking the Southern Island route. Sub-scenario 2 describes choices before boarding Pandora, appealing to the leader. Finally, it mentions the epilogue in Dynasty setting, where romantic entanglements occur on a luxury liner. This section highlights that reaching a good ending at least once is required to unlock these epilogues in sub-scenarios. This page is packed with tips and tricks for various N64 games. For Donkey Kong 64, it reveals two methods to become giant. One involves repeatedly pulling out and replanting trees in specific locations to grow large, attracting hearts from humans, and another method to simply become giant when humans aren't looking. There's a mention of Monument Whisper, referring to reading messages from monuments in a game. It explains how to control a giant using a second-player controller, and what happens if a giant falls off the edge of the world in the game. Game over! For Mario Artist, Paint Studio, it details poke camera challenge techniques when using a Game Boy camera, including timer shooting, brightness inversion, and brightness adjustment using button combinations. In SimCity 64, it mentions Free Mode Money Rich, detailing how to get maximum money of $999,999 in free mode by entering Sangha when naming your city. A sound setting trick called Heckle Cheyenne is described, where turning off the BGM in the sound settings produces this sound effect. Stamps in a game can be enlarged or reduced using the controller or mouse. There's a suggestion that naming your team Purple Sangha might increase your win rate in a game. Lastly, it mentions a feature to zoom in on buildings by pressing the C button in a game, which zooms in on the building shown in the window. The next page is all about Custom Robo. It details some secret techniques and helpful tips for the game. It explains how to unlock and use illegal parts by completing the scenario mode, which expands customization options. There's a trick for aerial attacks to be used on the ground by pressing R and attack buttons simultaneously, expanding combat tactics. Another tip is about rapidly rotating the RoboCube by pressing A and B buttons. The page also mentions a handicap system in scenario mode, where losing multiple times grants you advantages, and how to knock opponents off the Colosseum stage. Button mashing during battles refills your gauge faster. Finally, it reveals how to obtain the Hyoko Robo in the fierce battle scenario after clearing the Grade Cup finals and going to the second floor of the arena to talk to Peter Robo, which unlocks Hyoko Gun, Hyoko Pod, and Hyoko Legs parts. Two other games are briefly featured in boxes. PD Ultraman Battle Collection 64, released in July 1999, and Custom Robo V2, released in October 1999. Mario Artist. Talent Studio features various action effects categorized into action effects, sports, daily life, and various, each with unique visual and sound effects. The game begins with a greeting from the president. Accessible if no artwork is made. Players can view their creations in a talent demo and access the staff role by pressing a button. A secret, "Let's make it move" icon hints at character movement controls. The page also touches on other N64 games. Transformers Beast Wars Metal 64 utilizes a GB pack for health boosts and unlocks Megatron X. Surabito Bass Fishing No. 1 Kataibon allows players to enter any name. This page is focused on cheat codes and hidden features for several Nintendo 64 games. For Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards, it details how to unlock a sound test and a special Hoshi Fubuki mode by completing stages in the game. It also explains how to level up in minigames, how to recover health using Ice and Spark abilities in a refrigerator, how to ride on Waddle Dee's head in a specific stage, and a trick for the final boss battle against 0 to the power of 2. For Top Gear Hyperbike, it reveals cheat codes to unlock all courses and all bikes, entered at the Mode Select screen. Top Gear Rally 2 has a cheat code entered at the title screen to unlock all courses and teams, granting 950 CP points initially. Finally, Daikatana lists cheat codes for unlocking all weapons and all stages, entered at the Stage Select screen, alongside Treasure Play commands, which activate various effects in the game when entered. The next page showcases game tips for The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask. It starts with a bug allowing you to use the Fierce Deity Mask outside of boss battles by setting it to a C button, going to Clock Town, and using a magic bean. Another trick is for easily activating switches in Stone Tower Temple 1F by extinguishing torches with Treasure Box Fire and using Goron Punch. You can even ride Epona into Clock Town by entering through the West Gate at 6 a.m. on the date change while mounted. There's a tip about the Elegy of Emptiness, where making a doll and combining 4 will create a strange object. If you want a selfie, you can take pictures of Link's face using the pictograph box set to a C button and pressing A. Catching Bombkus during the bomber's hide-and-seek is made easy by becoming a Deku Scrub and using soap bubbles. Butterflies can transform into fairies if you hold a Deku stick near them, and you can even lift dogs by Z-targeting, raising a stick and pressing RT. The page also mentions a mysterious phenomenon where Zora Link spontaneously combusts near poisonous marshes in Woodfall. Finally, you can enter the Treasure Lottery Shop counter by moving away until the hand icon disappears, and then backflipping in. This page details various fun tricks and secrets in The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask. It includes tips on peeking under skirts, where possible, transforming into Deku Link for hidden areas and flight, and obtaining a receipt. Other tricks include exploiting the Swordmaster's weakness at night, and using the Bremen Mask to affect the Ikana King. The page also notes that the Takuri bird can steal your sword, and that Deku Link can be seen in a soap bubble in the lottery shop. Additional secrets cover how to see Romani sleeping, the maximum rupee deposit, using the Mask of Truth for magic meter information, and changing your viewpoint in the treasure chest shop. Finally, it mentions humorous glitches with Zora Link's laughter and Link's floating ability, along with scaring scarecrows with the Kamaro mask. This page details various back techniques and secrets in The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask. Tricks include manipulating gossip stones with the Song of Healing, restoring signboards, and observing in Deku Nut form. Money-making strategies include the Honey and Darling shop target and selling fish at night. The Bremen Mask's effect on dogs and diving in unusual locations like the graffiti shop and underground at Romani Ranch are noted. Special comments from the Scarecrow with different masks, Gorman's milk and dried squid habit, and ringing the treasure chest shop bell as Goron Link are included. Other techniques involve becoming a target at the shooting gallery, smelling with the blast mask, boxed Link, cow ornament manipulation, seeing the Keaton Mask Boy's face, and getting rupees from drumming. Finally, the page mentions mushroom acquisition, fish warping at the laundry pool, and the secret taunt dance. This page is a special feature looking at a few different games, starting with GQ Powerful Pro Yakyu 2000. It gives hints about gameplay, such as a hint for Great Bay Shrine, which says you can get closer to the shrine by freezing the sea surface with ice arrows, but you can't enter inside. It details stadium selection, league tournaments, pro player data viewing and clearing, data clearing methods using controller inputs, and rewards for home run derbies. Moving on to Mario Tennis 64, it mentions selecting all companies in success mode with specific button inputs. It also talks about hidden characters like Junior and Hey-Ho appearing after winning the Star Cup in tournament mode, and how to get higher ability characters by pressing R trigger on the character selection screen. There's info on hidden courts like Mario Brothers Court, Baby Mario and Yoshi Court, Donkey Kong Court and Perfect Court, and the conditions to unlock them, such as winning the Kanoko Cup with specific characters or completing Perfect Challenge. The page also mentions a Ring Challenge mode and getting a Rainbow Star in Exhibition mode for normal characters by winning to change their status to Rainbow. For Mario Artist Communication Kit, under the Etc. section, it mentions extra content appearing on the menu screen under Options, and also a staff role appearing if you press B on the title screen, letting you change the language with A to Z. This resource provides tips for RPGs, specifically focusing on Mystery Dungeon, Shiren the Wanderer 2. Key strategies include infinite warehouse use for item storage and synthesis, leveling shopkeepers through item throwing, and weapon forging using a Mamo companion and bank weapons. It also covers homogenized phrases for item rewards, Gitan bomb usage, and a knowledge staff tip. Warehouse Wind and Counter Leg Watching provide unique gameplay insights. Additionally, it includes advice for Mario Story, such as reading Kanoko Town billboards and listening for rumors in Booker Tower. The Luigi's Underground Room is unlocked through a specific action. Finally, it provides a companion preemptive attack strategy and details how to unlock Miracle Star rank in Duel Mode and Battle Royale Mode in Mario Party 3. This page focuses on tips and tricks for various N64 games. For Perfect Dark, there are shooting practice tips on how to easily earn GOLD ranks by utilizing weapon modes and pausing before throwing human shields. There's also advice on clearing challenges in multiplayer, including how to restart challenges if someone leaves, and how to quickly clear simulations. For Excitebike 64, password information is provided to unlock various features and modes, such as Big Head Mode, Midnight Mode, and various bike and stadium options. For Mega Man Legends, the page discusses how to unlock the Very Hard Difficulty mode by completing the game within 3 hours and then clearing the Difficult mode. Finally, there's a section for 64DD, discussing its online service launch and membership fees, as well as a section on Mario performance related to the 64DD system. This page is a special feature titled Mask Exhibition Hall Special, focusing on The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask. It seems to be highlighting the demon or ogre version of the game, indicated by the prominent Japanese character. The page design features Majora's Mask prominently and references Hall of Fame The Dream technique, possibly indicating a detailed look at the game's mechanics or features within a book-in-book section of 64Dream magazine. The article explores the history of online gaming on home consoles. It begins by contrasting early local multiplayer experiences like Mario Party with the shift to online gaming, highlighting the 64DD's failure as an early hurdle. It traces the evolution of online gaming back to PC titles like Diablo, Ultima Online, and StarCraft, which gained global popularity. A pivotal moment was the release of Phantasy Star Online on the Dreamcast, offering console players a genuine online RPG experience, albeit with limitations like modem connectivity and phone charges. The article acknowledges the challenges of server costs and connectivity issues. Finally, it speculates on the potential of online versions of franchises like Zelda and Pokemon, mentioning the Pokemon Crystal and Mobile GB adapter as early efforts, while hinting at future discussions of handheld gaming and communication technologies. This page discusses a collaboration between the games Zelda and Dr. Pepper, which involves a campaign where purchasing Dr. Pepper gives you a chance to win an N64 console or games. The page also features a segment called This Month's Death Immortal Returns, reflecting on news from the year 2000, mentioning the cancellation of Mother 3, Earthbound 64, and the end of the RANnet service as significant events. A question is raised about why Super Famicom, SNES, games were sometimes more expensive than N64 games, and the response suggests it was due to the decreasing cost of ROM cartridges and market competition. The page also delves into a query about the N64 controller's nature, explaining that while the control stick is analog, the directional pad is digital, using clocks as an analogy to clarify the difference. The Everyone Have Fun Free Talk section of the Dream BBS focuses on Nintendo games, with a particular emphasis on lost Super Famicom titles. Users discuss unreleased SFC games like Sound Fantasy, Fighting Polygon, and others, recalling anticipation for these titles and the Super Famicom CD-ROM drive. The conversation then shifts to the Satellaview, highlighting developer involvement from companies like Atlus, Enix, and Capcom, and discussing Chunsoft's plans for a sound novel on the N64. The article also touches on Enix's potential Dragon Quest project for the N64, which might have been a 64DD title. Lastly, the article recommends Killer Instinct 64 and concludes with reflections on Nintendo's history and excitement for the future of gaming with the GameCube and Game Boy Advance. The next page is titled Reader's Opinion and features 2 letters from readers. The first letter, from S.O. Sweetsan, discusses the end of LandNet and expresses disappointment with Nintendo's handling of the 64DD. They felt it was poorly supported with software and communication, drawing parallels to the Famicom disk system. They hope Nintendo learns from these mistakes with the GameCube and focuses on delivering good games rather than just peripherals. They also feel Nintendo's child-friendly image might be hurting their appeal to a wider audience, and mention seeing a Mario Tennis commercial. The second letter, from Anko-san, expresses concern about the game market cooling down. They observed a realistic racing game screenshot, and felt playing real-life activities might be more appealing than overly realistic games. They worry this focus on realism might be contributing to a decline in the market, and mention that they considered buying Animal Forest, Animal Crossing, to rekindle the fun in games. The next page features an impressions section, highlighting the game Banjo-Tooie, or Banjo & Kazooie's Great Adventure 2. The reviewer initially thought it would be just another Mario-like game similar to the first Banjo-Kazooie and Donkey Kong 64, but upon playing, they felt it actually surpassed Mario. They praised the game's in-depth puzzle design and expansive maps, noting the quality and ambition of Rare. While pointing actions are mentioned, they acknowledge Mario still leads in that aspect. The page also includes a reader's questionnaire section with various comments, but when frequent. One reader humorously mentions receiving a Mario anti-bullying prevention card at school. Another reader ponders if the N64 is still number 1 and hopes for software price drops. There are also comments on unrelated topics like Pokemon anime evaluation overseas and a Skylark entering a house. Interestingly, one reader mentions purchasing a Virtual Boy with 5 games for 4,000 yen and being satisfied, while another points out that a Game & Watch Super Mario Bros. Is being sold for 20,000 yen, but was unfortunately broken upon inspection. Finally, there's an announcement that next month will be a Sayonara 64 special issue, as the magazine 64Dream will be changing its name from the following month. The theme for reader submissions for this special issue is 64Dream and Me. A short message from the BBS administrator notes they are sending out a special version of the magazine, and the submission address remains the same. This page presents an Akihabara N64 price survey, analyzing game prices after the Christmas and New Year period. The survey indicates that game prices tend to decrease after this holiday season. It notes that Pokemon Stadium 2 was surprisingly affordable, while Mario Party 3 maintained a higher price and was harder to find in stores. The page includes a table detailing various N64 games with their original retail price, the surveyed Akihabara price, release dates, and specifications such as player count and vibration pack compatibility. Examples of games in the table include titles like Castlevania, Winback, Covert Operations, Wave Race 64, F-Zero X, Mario Kart 64, and various sports games like NBA in the Zone and Olympic Hockey, Nagano 98. A section at the bottom titled Disappearing Hardware discusses the 64DD. It mentions the limited availability of the 64DD, its high price in online auctions, and notes the bundled software, Fushigi no Dungeon, Tale of the Giant, Nanto. This page is showing Nintendo's 64 software prices in Akihabara. It lists a large selection of games with their genre, regular retail price, the discounted Akihabara price, release date, publisher, player number, and compatibility with controller packs, rumble packs, and battery backups. Some notable games mentioned include Star Wars Episode 1, Racer, Star Fox 64, Snowspeeder, Space Dynamites, Super Mario 64, Zelda, Ocarina of Time, Zelda's Legend, Majora's Mask, Doom 64, Tetris 64, and Bomberman 64. Below this is a separate section focusing on Game Boy software price trends in Akihabara, noting prices are generally falling, and mentioning popular titles like Pokémon Crystal, Dragon Quest III, and Game Boy Wars 4. This page is a Nintendo Power SFC software list outlining various Super Famicom games available for cartridge rewriting. It's presented in table format with columns for the game title, block size, manufacturer, and price, all set at 1,000 or 2,000 yen. The page features a wide range of Super Famicom titles from different genres and publishers like Nintendo, Konami, Capcom, Enix, and many others. The text at the bottom announces that SFC software rewriting titles are being introduced, starting from February 1st, indicating that this is a promotion for this service and highlights the ease of getting these games via rewrite service at stores equipped with Loppy terminals. It mentions the cost for rewriting is 30 yen per sheet, and that details can be found on the Nintendo homepage. This page is advertising a Game Boy Advance special feature. It announces, GB Advance is coming! And highlights different sections within this special, including an interview section, a roundtable discussion, and a section focusing on the basic knowledge of LCD screens, detailing aspects like pixel arrangement and color filters. This page is an interview with Ashiura Ito, a creator known for his work on Pokémon and as a Game Boy enthusiast, discussing the charm of the Game Boy Advance. Ashiura Ito is a multifaceted creator involved in Pokémon CG production, American Pokémon comics, and is known as the Game Boy Collector. He reflects on the original Game Boy and its surprising longevity, especially highlighting how Pokémon changed the landscape for the handheld, making communication cables popular. He also mentions the Game Boy Pocket and how Nintendo shifted direction. Ashiura Ito discusses his work on the magazine Nintendo Dream and briefly mentions his manga Koopa Berry. Interestingly, his workspace, pictured on the page, is filled with toys and even has Mother 3 rough sketches on the wall, hinting at a connection to the unreleased game. The page also features an image of a book titled Pokémon Story, which delves into the business aspects of Pokémon's success. This page presents an interview section titled GB Advance is Coming! Interview, and focuses on the Game Boy Advance. The interview discusses how the GBA can play over 1,000 Game Boy games, largely thanks to the popularity of Pokémon. It mentions the difficulty in sourcing parts for the original Game Boy due to its age. The interviewee expresses anticipation for the improved graphics of the GBA, noting the original Game Boy's early adoption of communication cables for multiplayer. The GBA's connectivity with the GameCube is highlighted as a planned feature from the start, and Bluetooth is mentioned as a wireless communication method, chosen because the GBA lacks infrared. They anticipate multiplayer gaming on the GBA handhelds. A separate section titled Liquid Crystal Basic Knowledge is presented as an interview with Sharp, answering fundamental questions about LCD technology. It explains that liquid crystal is a state of matter between liquid and solid, and clarifies that very little liquid crystal is used in LCD screens, so breaking one won't result in liquid spilling out. Lastly, the page features a mention of the Love Tester toy created by the late Gunpei Yokoi, suggesting the GBA might become a significant communication tool, echoing the toy's social aspect. Leopard print accessories, described as being for subway commuters, and designs by Hamasaki Ayumi are also pictured, showcasing different styles of handheld device pouches or cases. An interview with Ashiura, and a shop owner, discusses the Game Boy Advance. They highlight its popularity, comparing its power to the Super Famicom, and the potential for high-quality graphics. The horizontal design, similar to an Iron Man 28 robot, and customizable white casing are mentioned. While lacking an infrared port, the GBA's connectivity to the GameCube is explored, hinting at potential wireless links and the ability to play games on the GBA while using the TV. The GBA camera is briefly discussed. The conversation emphasizes Nintendo's design philosophy and its evolution of handhelds, from the Game Boy to the GBA, underscoring the company's consistent design taste. This page is an interview section discussing the basic knowledge of liquid crystal technology, likely in anticipation of the Game Boy Advance. The interview poses two key questions about liquid crystal displays. Firstly, it asks how liquid crystals are made. The answer explains that they are created from various materials, particularly those used in displays. With petroleum as a primary raw material, pharmaceutical and chemical companies manufacture them, and there are many types of liquid crystal materials that are blended together to achieve specific properties. For example, blends are designed for handheld game consoles to maximize playtime and minimize power consumption, or for car navigation systems to withstand extreme temperatures. Secondly, The interview asks about the thickness of the glass used in liquid crystal displays. It's revealed that even the thickest glass is incredibly thin at just 1.1 millimeters, with 0.7 millimeters now being the standard. A polarizing filter is also mentioned as being an essential component. The glass used in these displays is manufactured with micron-level precision. We can also see a screenshot from a Pokemon game, highlighting the relevance of liquid crystal technology to handheld gaming. Another image demonstrates how polarized filters work, showing how they can block light when rotated 90 degrees. This article highlights Ito Ashliura's Game Boy art collection, showcasing his custom Game Boy designs and an interview about his collection of 50 to 60 Game Boys. Ashliura-san's favorite software is Panel de Pon, Puzzle League, praising its enhanced performance on the Game Boy Color. He sees the Game Boy as an excellent entertainment device for children. The article features 8 unique custom models: Ferrari, Tezuka Osamu Land, Nyarth's Party, Leopard Pattern, Winter and Summer, NBC, Major Color, and Miranda. These designs incorporate various themes and materials. The article includes a photo of Ashliura-san's extensive collection and a racing game screenshot demonstrating the Game Boy Advance's graphics. The article notes the existence of other themed Game Boys and encourages readers to create their own Game Boy art. This page features an interview with Hirokazu Tanaka and Hiroyuki Jinai about a new Game Boy Color software titled Chochai Irian, or Tiny Alien. Hirokazu Tanaka, known for his work as a composer for the Pokemon anime and his involvement in the Mother series, is developing this game. The interview discusses how the game was conceived and its gameplay, mentioning it was intended to be strategic and possibly similar to Pokemon Stadium in terms of depth. It's described as a game where you capture tiny aliens that are all black initially and become visible later, set in a world filled with dark matter. On the right side of the page, there's an educational section titled Basic Knowledge of Liquid Crystal Display in a question and answer format from Sharp, explaining how LCD screens work, covering details like liquid crystal molecules, polarization, and how light passes through the display to create images. It uses diagrams to illustrate the process of light and liquid crystals to form a pixel. This page is a special feature on the Game Boy Advance, highlighting the game Chochoi Alien. The interview with Tanaka and Ashura reveals the core concept of the game is centered around rescuing small aliens that have been contaminated by dark matter and returning them to space to restore the universe to its normal state. The game will utilize the Game Boy camera and pocket printer and will include a Spectrum communicator feature. It's described as a space rescue game for one player, with a planned release date around late February. The game involves capturing aliens and seems to have elements of collecting and puzzle solving. The interview also touches upon the game's development, focusing on the idea of using the Game Boy's capabilities in unique ways. This page is an interview section focusing on the Game Boy Advance. The first part is titled Basic Knowledge of Liquid Crystal from Sharp, explaining how color displays work using RGB primary colors and color filters, and how reflective TFT-LCD technology in the GBA is advantageous. It highlights that reflective LCDs use ambient light, making them power efficient and ideal for outdoor use, especially in sunlight, offering high contrast and easy viewing. The second interview is with developers about their upcoming game called Chochai Alien, possibly Tiny Alien or similar. Creatures, known for Pokemon games, is releasing their first original title. The game revolves around capturing aliens using an item called the Spectrum communicator. The developers mention the game is designed for mobile play in various locations, even toilets. They describe a touchment element and hint at gameplay involving something like orange skeleton removal. The game is planned for release around the end of the year, with Nintendo handling promotion and distribution as a partner. Originally intended for GB Advance's infrared port, the feature was dropped due to Nintendo's decision, causing some developmental challenges and potential confusion. They see it as a unique and interesting game that will appeal to GBA owners. The game is set to be showcased at the Next Generation Hobby Fair at various locations in Japan starting in January. This page is a roundtable discussion with 3 women about the Game Boy Advance. The discussion is titled, Want to Play Software but Can't Buy It Until It Comes Out. They are discussing their initial impressions of the GBA and what they're looking forward to. The participants are Kojima Ayako, Takarari Fusan, and Chika-san. They talk about the GBA's screen being bright and clear, especially compared to the original Game Boy. They mention the Space World event and how impressed they were with the GBA there. They discuss specific games, including Mario Kart Advance, as a killer title for the system, even though it wasn't a launch title. They also mentioned Golden Sun, with Chica expressing she isn't a big RPG fan, but might be interested because of the Takahashi brothers' involvement. Mario Tennis GB and Mario and Luigi are also mentioned in the context of wanting to play them simultaneously in multiplayer. They talk about the colors of the GBA available at launch: violet, white, and milky blue. They wish there was a champagne gold color. They also mention the clear purple GBA previously shown with orange buttons and how unusual the color scheme was. They discuss wanting a color that isn't too childish. Perhaps more sophisticated colors for adults. There's a screenshot of Mario Kart Advance in the bottom left corner, showing a race in progress. An interview with Mr. Takarayama and Mr. Kojima discusses the upcoming Game Boy Advance. Takarayama, more interested in hardware, recounts a design anecdote and draws parallels between the GBA's horizontal design and the Game & Watch. Kojima expresses initial concerns about the form factor's potential childish feel and the comfort of the shoulder buttons. They debate screen visibility, with Takarayama highlighting the unique hand awareness handhelds offer. The discussion then explores the social aspect of gaming, with Takarayama advocating for gallery features where others can watch gameplay, referencing Mario Tennis 64. They also touch upon the Virtual Boy's lack of social appeal. Finally, they address the new L and R buttons, with Kojima voicing concerns about ease of use for younger players, while Takarayama concludes by praising Nintendo's hardware. The interview is accompanied by images of the GBA and a Game & Watch. This page is from the Ask Nintendo Q&A section of the magazine. It features a character profile on Princess Peach, highlighting her English name as Princess Toadstool and mentioning she debuted in Donkey Kong Arcade. The Q&A section asks about the top N64 game for the start of 2001, with the answer pointing to Mickey's Speedway USA as a key title for the N64, developed by Rare, the creators of Banjo-Kazooie, guaranteeing fun gameplay. It also mentions Donkey Kong 2001 for Game Boy Color, also by Rare and Disney, suggesting a partnership between Disney and Nintendo around that time, possibly revealed at E3 1999. The page also includes a navigator section introducing Sauhen, and a one-shot section discussing Isukoku Cup Ramen, recommending it to N64 users. Finally, it hints at a new Mickey adventure game for the upcoming GameCube. There are also images of a Game Boy Color and a mobile phone adapter, suggesting connectivity features. This page is from the Nintendo question box section and features a Q&A format. The first question asks about the 2000 year-end sales for Nintendo software, and the answer is that it was very good, highlighting the popularity of Pokémon Crystal and Mario Party 3. They anticipate Mario Party 4 for the coming year and mention Pokémon Stadium Gold and Silver and Konami's Yu-Gi-Oh! As also selling well. It is stated that Nintendo was victorious in the last year-end sales battle of the 20th century, thanks in part to strong Game Boy Color game sales. The next question asks if Miyamoto-san is doing well, and the answer confirms he is, mentioning he became responsible for software development last year. Another question is about the Game Boy Advance body colors. The answer reveals there will be 3 colors: violet, white, and milky blue. Initially considering more colors, they settled on 3 for production efficiency, aiming for a release of 1 million units on March 21st in these colors. Finally, a question asks if the Game Boy Advance release will be delayed. The answer firmly states it will not be delayed, expressing confidence in meeting the March 21st release date, barring any major disasters. The page also includes character art of Mario, Donkey Kong, Princess Peach, and Yoshi. This page is an Ask Nintendo section focusing on the Game Boy Advance. It addresses questions about the console's production volume, launch titles, Mario games, and commercials. Nintendo confirms they are aiming for 24 million Game Boy Advance units in the first year of production. 4 titles will be released at launch from Nintendo: Mario Advance, Super Mario Advance, Kuru Kuru Kururin, Nazo no Murasame Ju, The Mysterious Murasame Castle, and F-Zero for Game Boy Advance. Mario Advance is confirmed to be an action game based on Super Mario USA, Super Mario Bros. 2, featuring enhanced graphics and new elements like 4-player battles. The Game Boy Advance commercials are still in development, but will emphasize the appeal of the new system and software, utilizing a visual identity, SICK, with logo and sound cues similar to Rock-On and Game Boy Color. Nintendo expects to heavily promote the Game Boy Advance with numerous commercials, as it's a brand new product. The page includes images of the Game Boy Advance console, Mario characters like Mario, Luigi, Peach, and Toad, the Kururin logo, and the Nintendo 64 logo. This Nintendo Magazine Q&A covers the Game Boy Advance, GBA, and Nintendo 64. The GBA will have a dedicated, separately sold AC adapter due to its unique design and voltage incompatibilities with older models. The horizontal GBA design is explained by the larger screen size and the need for pocket-friendly portability, with the screen boasting 32,000 colors. 64 cartridge weight differences stem from variations in internal components like battery backups and memory chips. Finally, the Q&A confirms Mariners player Sasaki's appearance in commercials for the mobile system GB, chosen to represent the product's innovative challenge. The magazine also includes a TV commercial broadcast schedule. In an Ask Nintendo section, Nintendo addressed several reader questions. Regarding advertising, Nintendo spent 8.3 billion yen in fiscal year 1999, 44.7 billion yen in 2000, and estimated 55 billion yen in 2001, making them the largest advertiser in the video game industry. The blue N64 controller was the most popular color. The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask sales were strong, reaching 1 million in America shortly after its October 26th release. The upcoming February release of The Legend of Zelda: Oracle of Seasons for Game Boy Color incorporates a new Link system, with 2 games designed to provide distinct content while offering enhanced features for players who play both. Finally, Pokémon Crystal's color-specific design integrates new features like animation and mobile system GB compatibility. This page is from the Nintendo question box section of the magazine and answers 3 questions. Firstly, regarding the question, "Is it true that Mario is 35 years old?" the response clarifies that this idea comes from an English textbook and is not Nintendo's official stance. They explain that Mario's age isn't fixed, allowing him to adapt to various games. The textbook mentioned is Tokyo Shoseki's New Horizon, used in junior high schools, and it features a scene where international characters discuss Mario. The second question asks, "Is it true that Nintendo has a table tennis club?" Quote, the answer states there's no official table tennis clubs. However, Nintendo does have other officially recognized clubs for activities like baseball, badminton, tennis, orchestra, skiing, tea ceremony, and basketball. They have 2 baseball teams, including one called Nintendo Marios. The orchestra club sometimes holds concerts in new company buildings, but their activities are currently on hold. Finally, the question, "What are the Nintendo president's hobbies?" reveals that the president's hobby is GOAT. It's a well-known fact, and he's reportedly a strong amateur player at the 6th Dan level. The article references a New Year's greeting from President Yamauchi, published in the Nikkei Sangyo Shimbun on January 9th, which mentioned his hobby. The article also discusses Nintendo's efforts to revitalize the game market by releasing new hardware for both handheld and home consoles, specifically mentioning the Game Boy Advance and Nintendo GameCube, under the leadership of the 73-year-old President Yamauchi. The mobile adapter GB enabled Game Boy Color users to connect to the internet via mobile phones, allowing data exchange. Released in 2000, when mobile phone adoption was lower, the device utilized phone call charges, which were generally more expensive than landlines. Fees were structured into 3 categories: Dion Mobile GB course, Nintendo content, and call charges. Dion fees included a 400 yen registration, 10 yen per minute internet usage, and no monthly basic fee. Nintendo content, primarily for Pokémon Crystal, cost about 10 yen for services like trading and news. Call charges varied by mobile provider, with examples from Docomo showing varied rates based on distance and time. The article strongly advised users to calculate costs carefully, particularly for paid content, to avoid bill surprises. Most adapter users were Docomo subscribers. This page highlights a few interesting points from the gaming world. Firstly, there's a campaign for the mobile adapter GB, where buying one could win you a baseball signed by Sasaki Kazuhiro. It seems like a cool collectible for fans. There's also a Hudson campaign called Trio de Peach, where you can get special goods if you participate. The games involved are from the Momotaro Dentetsu series, which are always popular in Japan. Pokemon fans will be interested in the announcement of the official Pokemon website, boasting loads of information about Pocket Monsters, and available in various languages for international fans. CES was a big event, and apparently, both the Xbox and GameCube were showcased. It's noted that the GameCube was demonstrating its SD card capabilities, showing an SD card adapter for data storage, which was quite forward-thinking at the time. Lastly, There's news about a Telefang toy from Takara. Based on the popular Game Boy Color game, it was set to release at the end of January, and these Telefang toys were quite sought after. The 13th World Hobby Fair in Tokyo also took place in mid-January, drawing large crowds. It seems Enix and Hudson had booths there, showcasing their latest offerings, with titles like Dragon Quest Monsters being a popular attraction. This page highlights various topics. It features a book series called Game Maestro, which is a collection of long interviews with famous game developers in Japan, focusing on the history of Japanese games. Volume 1 includes interviews with notable figures like the creator of Space Invaders, Tomohiro Nishikado, the creator of Pac-Man, Toru Iwatani, the creator of Xevious, Masanobu Endo, Shigeru Miyamoto of Super Mario Bros. Fame, Yuji Horii from Dragon Quest, and Hironobu Sakaguchi from Final Fantasy. Volume 2 includes interviews with the creators of Torneco's Great Adventure, Chunsoft's Nakamura, and the developer of Giant Killing, possibly soccer game. There is also an advertisement for a campaign by National/Panasonic, where buying their dry cell batteries gives you a chance to win a Game Boy Advance. New Pokemon-themed Game Boy bags from Morrigan are announced, featuring Pikachu and Pichu designs, capable of storing a Game Boy Pocket, pocket printer, and other accessories. Finally, it mentions a New York Times headline from December 27, 2000, reporting that Nintendo was considering buying Sega. The page also mentions popular Kirby goods are featured on Nintendo's homepage, specifically Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards merchandise. This page is an advertisement for the 64Dream Nintendo Stadium Strategy Guidebook, highlighting it as the ultimate guide created with combined power and time. It emphasizes several key points, making it a must-buy. Complete maps, detailed explanations with illustrations for easy understanding of techniques and strategies, a comprehensive index for quick information retrieval, and abundant related information. The strategy guide covers games like Perfect Dark, Mario Tennis GB, Mario Party 3, and Banjo-Kazooie's Big Adventure 2. Furthermore, it promotes the Pokemon Stadium Crystal version strategy guide, announcing its imminent release. The page also lists upcoming and currently available game strategy guides including Pokemon Stadium Gold/Silver, Donkey Kong 2001, Animal Crossing, tentative title, The Legend of Zelda, Oracle of Seasons, The Legend of Zelda, Oracle of Ages, and The Legendary Starfy, tentative title. Finally, there is a tea break section, which features a puzzle and invites readers to submit their own puzzles for publication. This page is dedicated to Dragon Quest Monsters 2 for the Game Boy Color. It's presented as the latest installment in the series and highlights its power-up from previous titles. The story unfolds in the land of Malta, a small island far south of the land of Taiju from the previous game. The protagonists, Luca and Iru, are siblings living happily with their parents who run a monster farm. This game is described as Ill's Adventure. Key characters are introduced. Kameha Prince, who seems to be a mischievous character always accompanied by a monkey monster called Warubu. The game features a mysterious key that allows you to travel to different worlds, described as fields with mountains, seas, sandy beaches, and deserts. These worlds are randomly generated, offering near infinite variations. The page also mentions that monsters encountered will vary depending on whether you play as Luca or Iru, and that they are attack type and support type respectively. It emphasizes the ability to raise your own unique and powerful monsters in this latest adventure. The next page features two RPG titles for the Game Boy Color. First up is Wizardry I, 2 and 2I, Story of Lilgamin, which is a collection of the first 3 Wizardry games, scheduled for release on February 23rd. It emphasizes creating your own party of up to 6 characters from different races and alignments to explore dungeons. Pre-ordering all 3 games will net you a Greeter Demon figure. Next is Wizardry, the Black Onyx, due for release on March 2nd, as a remake. This is a remake of the classic PC RPG from 1984. It boasts updated graphics and scenarios while retaining the original gameplay in Legacy mode. A Legend mode is also included, offering a more modern gameplay experience. The game involves exploring dungeons to find the legendary treasure, the Black Onyx, recruiting companions, and battling monsters. Character customization is also a feature, allowing you to change hairstyles and outfits. Previews for 4 Game Boy Color titles are showcased. The Legend of Zelda. Oracle of Seasons has Link battling in a dungeon to rescue Din from General Gorgon and restore the seasons. The Legend of Zelda. Oracle of Ages features Link in a town, tasked with defeating the Time Priest Baran and fixing the disrupted flow of time after Nairu's capture. Donkey Kong 2001 sees Donkey Kong rescuing stolen bananas from King K. Rool's Kremlings across 6 stages, with boss battles and animal buddy assistance. Lastly, Hamster Club 2 follows Hamtaro as he explores, learns ham language to communicate with other hamsters, solves mysteries, and aims to collect all 86 hamsters. This page highlights 2 Game Boy Color titles. First is Pocket King, a strategy game launching on February 23rd. It details the heroic mode, where the protagonist Eric fights to defeat the Demon Lord, and unit summoning using MP. Units can level up and become stronger through class changes, like a goblin evolving into a hobgoblin. The page lists various units like fighters, goblins, harpies, elves, monks, and magicians with their MP costs. The second game is Aim Com Dungeon Doldora Aga, an RPG already available for purchase. This section provides stage-specific hints for Worlds 4 to 6. World 4 focuses on the Sumaru Kingdom, with tips for stages like Euphrates River and Royal Mausoleum. World 5 covers the Kumugaru mountain range, offering hints for stages like Village of Hell and Dragon's Nest. Finally, World 6, Tenjukai, features stages like Nabur Temple and Aya Temple. The hints generally advise on enemy types, item usage, and strategic approaches for each stage in these worlds. This page is dedicated to Game Boy Color games and highlights 3 titles. First up is Medarot 4, an RPG, and the latest in the popular series. It's described as the conclusion of the Iki story arc, and a direct sequel to Medarot 2, featuring new story elements and battles. They are introducing 3 new battle types, in addition to the standard robot battles, and boast about having around 250 Metarotes in total. The game emphasizes collecting parts and medals to customize your Metarotes. Next is Golfland, an SPT genre game. This is a proper golf game for the Game Boy Color that utilizes simple controls for various shots. It's compatible with the mobile adapter GB, allowing for communication competitions and downloading content, expanding the gameplay experience. You can play alone or against others, and it seems to have a deep character customization aspect. Finally, there's Game Boy Wars Pocket Tactics, an SLG game. This is a new entry in the Game Boy Wars series, and is also compatible with the mobile adapter GB for downloading extra maps and services. They emphasize it's easy to play while offering deep gameplay, and includes a beginner mode to help new players get started. They mention various modes like standard mode and campaign mode, along with communication battles. It looks like a strategy war game where you command units and manage resources. This page showcases 4 upcoming Game Boy Color games. Firstly, there's Street Fighter Alpha Gaiden version, which is coming to the Game Boy Color on March 30th from Capcom. It's based on the arcade game Street Fighter Zero, known internationally as Street Fighter Alpha. This portable version is aiming to recreate the feel of the arcade game, and features familiar characters like Ryu and Chun-Li. Next we have Warao Inu no Buken GB Silly Go Lucky, released by Capcom on February 23rd. This game seems to be based on the popular Warao Inu no Buken TV show. It appears to be some sort of simulation or management game where the player is involved in directing a TV show to boost ratings, with a focus on comedy skits. Then there's Cheeky Cheeky Machine Moo Race, a racing game from Syscom Entertainment, release date to be announced. This is clearly based on the classic cartoon Wacky Races. It features 9 courses, including locations like icy plains and cities. The goal is to win races and collect usable items during the race, with various characters and wacky vehicles expected. Finally, there's Kawaii Kaneko Pretty Kitten, from MTO, scheduled for release on February 16th. This is a cute kitten simulation game where you care for a kitten. You can train and enter your kitten into pet shows. There are 5 breeds of cats featured in the game, including Persians and chinchillas. This page features previews of 4 Game Boy Color games. First, there's OHA Suda Dance Dance Revolution GB, a dance game based on the popular TV show OHA Suda and the Dance Dance Revolution series. It features music from the show and uses finger controls, suggesting gameplay similar to DDR, but on the Game Boy Color. Next is Looney Tunes Collector Martian Quest, a Looney Tunes RPG for Game Boy Color. Players will control Bugs Bunny and other Looney Tunes characters, around 52 in total, in an RPG adventure against Marvin the Martian. The third game is Shofushi Densetsu Tetsuya, Shinjuku Tenunhen, based on the TV anime Gambler Legend Tetsuya. This is a 4-player mahjong game in adventure style, where you play as the main character Tetsuya and encounter various opponents. It emphasizes scamming techniques in mahjong and includes minigames. Finally, there's Love Hina Party, an adventure game for Game Boy Color based on the popular Love Hina series. It features Keitaro and the girls from Love Hina in an ADV part, and minigames and quizzes, offering 2 types of gameplay. Pre-orders included a clear pinup. This page is packed with previews for Game Boy Color games. First up, there's Extreme Wheels Aim for BMX Champion, a BMX racing game where you'll be tackling muddy courses and aiming to become the ultimate BMX champion. It's all about bike racing action, pulling off tricks like wheelies and jackknives, and mastering diverse course layouts for races that feel different every time. Next is a curious 2" 1 cartridge called Nostalgic Fortune-Telling Puzzle Provisional. This one combines 2 genres, fortune-telling, specifically animal fortune-telling, and love fortune-telling, along with a puzzle game that's described as nostalgic. Apparently a goddess will even offer advice in the fortune-telling part. Moving on, we have Heroes Heroesgun, a proper role-playing game where the adventure begins with the player waking up people who have fallen asleep, diving into dreams. You can choose to play as a boy or girl protagonist, and the story progresses depending on your choice of gender. The game seems to have a comedic element, with character reactions and situations described as gag-based, and even features infrared communication between characters. Finally, there's Hello Kitty and Daniel's Dream Adventure, an action game. The story goes that Kitty was sleeping with a blue rabbit doll given to her by Daniel, when suddenly, the doll comes to life, leading to mysterious spells and an adventure through a world where past and present are all mixed up together. It looks like a side-scrolling action game, where Kitty can wear costumes to power up her actions. The Mario Royal Guard page showcases fan-submitted illustrations. A New Year's message from the editorial team, thanks readers, and playfully suggests saving money for the Game Boy Advance. The illustrations are diverse, featuring Mario with a snowman, Rockman Dash, a comical Mother 2 scene with Ganon, and art inspired by Tsumi Tabatsu. Other pieces include a mysterious cave scene, vibrant Pokemon art with celebratory New Year themes, a Paper Mario-style illustration, an anime-style piece from Furaiki, and a confident depiction of Link referencing a Space World cosplay. Overall, the page celebrates fan creativity and Nintendo 64 fandom. This page highlights fan-submitted artwork and letters related to N64 games. Featured illustrations include scenes from Sin and Punishment, Fire Emblem, The Legend of Zelda, Link in traditional clothing, Pokemon Red, with a humorous note about bugs, Dragon Quest II, and Mario Kart 64. The page is split into sections for younger artists, under 10, showcasing art of characters like Daisy, Kirby, Pikachu, and Banjo-Kazooie, alongside mentions of games like Puyo Puyo and Paper Mario. A fan letter section includes drawings and messages about Zelda, including characters, Star Fox, Fox, and Puyo Puyo. The fan submissions demonstrate a variety of games and characters, reflecting the diverse interests of the N64 community. This page is showcasing fan art submissions based on the theme, Dawn of the New Century. Many of the artworks creatively incorporate characters from popular N64 games. One submission features a character in a spacesuit reminiscent of Star Fox 64. Another piece humorously combines Mario and Luigi riding Zelda's horse Epona, alongside Yoshi, in a postal delivery scenario. Characters from Pokemon, The Legend of Zelda, Super Mario, Super Smash Bros., Kirby, and Earthbound are also featured in various drawings. One artwork explicitly mentions Super Smash Bros. And its upcoming appearance on the GameCube, suggesting a transition to the next generation of consoles. Wholeness from Earthbound is the focus of another drawing. Kirby and Mario each have their own dedicated artworks, celebrating the new century theme. One artwork with an angel in a cityscape might be alluding to the Japanese-exclusive N64 title Sin and Punishment, successor of the Earth. Overall, the page is a vibrant display of fan interpretations of the new century theme through the lens of beloved N64 games and characters. The Mario Subjugation Team features user-submitted 4-panel comics. Submissions include Mecha Deca Donkeets, Donkey and Diddy Kong, Hand Smash, Mario and Pikachu, Wario Sama, Wario and Luigi, Hyaku Ishoku Taikai, Fox McCloud and Kirby. Sword Banzai, Link and Zelda. Ruirigi Dashu, Luigi and Gyarados, referencing Donguri Korokoro. Suku Heiki, Samus Aran and Link. Shirakawa Sayuri-san, misunderstanding use of grass. Shinkan Seikatsu, Link, Zelda and Tingle. And Shindu Tokiyama-san, Scary Guardian Spirit, referencing Dondon Korokoro College. The comics originate from various locations in Japan, with varied themes and characters from Nintendo franchises. This page showcases a collection of fan art illustrations focused on Nintendo games. There's a hardcore Link from Zelda illustration, and another featuring a cute Fanta-chan character with additional comic panels. One illustration depicts a group of characters with detailed expressions described as painful and anxious. And Animal Crossing fan art is mentioned, anticipating a slow-life gameplay experience. There's also fan art for Ruto in the Sea from PC Monsters, a game the commenter wonders about. Another Zelda piece shows Zelda and Impa, with Zelda seemingly troubled by Impa. Majora's Mask gets a mention, with Link being seemingly sucked into the mask. Star Fox characters are reimagined as humanized and feminine. Wonder Project J2's characters are featured, highlighting the entire cast. Mario and Peach are shown on a winter date, with Luigi and Daisy secretly watching. Romance of the Three Kingdoms 6, Awakening of the Dragon fan art is included, described as kawaii. Mother 2, also known internationally as Earthbound, is referenced with anticipation for its arrival, perhaps alluding to a rumored N64 version or simply its popularity at the time. Kirby and FE emblems are mentioned together, possibly in reference to the cancelled Fire Emblem 64. A girl high school version of Mario is also depicted, praised for the hair flow. Finally, another Zelda illustration shows Link appearing to be arrested, with a surprised Zelda. The page showcases reader-submitted Nintendo fan art in the Mario Sudan Butai section, featuring diverse illustrations with accompanying comments. Artworks include pixelated characters, snow-themed scenes, and drawings from franchises like Super Smash Bros., Banjo-Kazooie, and Pokémon. The Gasaku no Keo Koro section highlights a collaborative Zelda artwork. The Kiriteru Katachi section features character illustrations, including a humorous caricature and a moon-faced character undergoing hair evolution. Finally, an illustration recruitment box solicits artwork submissions. A monthly Stair Rank Advancer section lists readers by rank. This page from Dream Hall of Fame Dream Technique focuses on tips and techniques for the N64 game Mystery Dungeon, Shiren the Wanderer 2. The first section, Road to the Farthest End Appearance Conditions, details how to find gold pots in the dungeon. These pots appear with varying probabilities on floors 610, 2429, and 9095. It also mentions that items will be unidentified at the start of this dungeon challenge, and clearing the mid-level well is a prerequisite. The second section, Level Up Infinitely with Warehouse Keeper, describes a method for unlimited leveling. By using the Trapmaster bracelet and activating a summon switch, you can strategically use traps like the Eataroo leaf to level up monsters and gain significant experience. The third section, Level Down in Gaizel Classroom, explains how to lower your level using the Gaizel Classroom and pots. By utilizing the Staff of Reflection, you can manipulate monsters in the Gaizel Classroom to intentionally decrease your level if desired. Finally, the page briefly touches on Perfect Dark with Simple Training Method. It advises players to use the Carrington Institute's Training Level 7 to practice. The method involves unequipping weapons to focus on defense and close quarters combat, receiving damage from enemies to improve survival skills in a controlled training environment. This page features Dream Technique articles for N64 games. For Dance Dance Revolution Disney Dancing Museum, it details passwords to unlock all 22 songs. There are passwords for unlocking 20 default and hidden songs with Mickey Mouse sounds, and another for 22 songs including hidden songs and the puzzle gallery. The page also covers hidden phone numbers, explaining how to use them in certain games. It gives phone numbers for characters Musa, Piu, and Zephia, which seem to be from monster raising or breeding style games. For Perfect Dark, the page describes a multiplayer tactic where you can attach remote bombs to opponents in bat mode. In Mario Party 3, it explains a trick where file names are automatically decided, and choosing the end for a file name can result in the name Wario. Finally, there is a large advert promoting a Dream Technique submission contest for readers to send in their game tips and secrets, with various prize tiers and contact information. A small section on the side gives instructions on how to write a postcard submission with examples. This page features a 2001 Great Prediction article from various editors regarding Nintendo's direction for the year. It's framed as a quiz with 5 yes/no questions about Nintendo's upcoming hardware and software. The 5 questions are: will the GameCube launch in July 2001 as planned? Will the GameCube console price be 25,000 yen or higher? Will Game Boy Advance domestic shipments exceed 5 million units in 2001? Will more than 10 N64 games be released in 2001? And finally, will the original Mother, Earthbound Beginnings, be revived on any Nintendo hardware? Each editor, Wataru, Major K, Sauhin, Masi, Endo, and Nakao-sensei, gives their predictions, correct or incorrect, for each question, often with a brief explanation for their answer. The topics cover GameCube release dates and pricing, Game Boy Advance sales expectations, the number of N64 game releases, and the potential revival of the original Mother. In a separate section titled, "This Month I'll Buy This," the article mentions games releasing before February 21st and highlights the upcoming Game Boy Advance launch around March 21st, advising readers to pre-order. It also mentions a limited edition clear black Game Boy Color. Kaetakita Mario Bros., a remake of the original for the Famicom Disk System, stands out as the industry-first advertisement-integrated game, featuring commercials for Naganian food products. The game includes original Mario Bros. And a new Naganian World mode with presents and revival slots. Gameplay is similar to the original, with 2-player simultaneous play. Enemies include Kamasan, Kenisan, Fighterfly, and various fireballs. Hitting blocks yields coins. In Naganian World, a slot machine appears after game over. Granting continues based on matched symbols, with Nagatanian symbols giving the most. The past-present campaign offered a secret code for players scoring between 10,000 and 20,000 points in Naganian World, allowing entry into a lottery for a Famicom system. This page has a Happy New Year 2001 message and discusses the upcoming release of the Game Boy Advance and Nintendo GameCube. The main article is about a visit to the new Nintendo headquarters in Kyoto on December 27th of the past year. The writer traveled by Shinkansen, saw the beautiful Mount Fuji, and upon arrival, was impressed by the large, square, and white Nintendo building. They found the lobby to be very spacious and clean, but somewhat surprisingly, they didn't spot any Nintendo characters, or even a Mario poster inside, making the interior feel quite simple despite the dazzlingly white and tiled floors. They had hoped to see some Nintendo characters during their visit. The page describes a visit to a company canteen, including photos and a meeting with staff, and mentions the view from the window. It also highlights receiving numerous New Year's cards and reminisces about them. The core focus is on the Nintendo GameCube. Information is still limited, and the team is gathering interview material. The page questions when GameCube software development will begin, given the upcoming Game Boy Advance launch, suggesting news might be delayed, and asks readers for patience. The page concludes by thanking readers for their support, teasing new games and a potential magazine name change, hinting at a busy year. They promise to keep providing the latest information, request continued support, and encourage reader correspondence, including the address for the 64Dream GBA section. This page is a reader prize present page from 64Dream magazine, offering various Nintendo and Pokemon-related items as gifts. Prizes include Nintendo 64 and Game Boy Color games such as Pokemon Stadium Gold and Silver, Pokemon Crystal version, and the Japan-exclusive N64 game, Arisen Nicewings 64. Readers can also win their choice of released N64 or Game Boy Color games. Hardware prizes include a Game Boy Color console and a Maji G portable hard accessory for Game Boy Color. There's also a set of Game Maestro interview books featuring game creators. Other prizes are related to merchandise, with Grandia Parallel Trippers and Momotaro Dentetsu 1+2 Game Boy Color games featured, Kirby backpacks from Alba Japan, Pokemon Kids series figures from Bandai, Pokemon-themed cassette boxes, drawstring bags, and Game Boy bags. To enter, readers need to fill in the questionnaire postcard with their desired prize and send it in. The deadline for entry is February 20th, 2001, and winners will be announced in the May issue of 64Dream magazine, which will be rebranded as Nintendo Dream from that issue onwards. The next page shows a reader survey for 64Dream magazine, asking readers their opinions on the current issue's cover and content, and what articles they enjoyed or disliked, also asking if they plan to buy a Game Boy Advance and what color they would prefer, and software they would buy with it. The page also announces the winners of the January issue's prize giveaway. Prizes included GB Color and GB software such as Mario Tennis, GB, and Wild Tracks. Stunt Race, FX, and 64 software prizes included Mother 2, Earthbound, Siren of Wind, Darkness Edition, Absolutely Invincible Regino, Racer of You and Me, Super Donkey Kong 2 and 3, Sin and Punishment, Successor of the Earth, Zelda no Densetsu, Kamigami no Triforce, The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past, Kirby's Block Ball, Custom Robo V2 Japan only, Pokemon Stadium 2, and Pokemon Gold/Silver. The page also contains a column called Sky Flying Butakimi-san, which talks about a video parody of a British comedy show, mentioning it may be found in rental video stores in the foreign comedy section. This page is an advertisement for the April issue of the 64Dream magazine, scheduled for release on Wednesday, February 21st. The issue highlights a Game Boy Advance special and a long interview with Hirokazu Tanaka. The editor's message mentions that this will be the last issue under the 64Dream name, as it will become Nintendo Dream from the March issue onwards. There's a 4-panel manga strip featuring Mario and Luigi. The page also lists staff members, contact details for the magazine, and promotes the currently available March issue, which includes features on Pokemon Crystal and the Game Boy Advance. The next page is an advertisement for the mobile adapter GB, released on January 27, 2001, for 5,800 yen. This Nintendo product allows Game Boy Color owners to connect their handheld consoles to mobile phones, expanding the Game Boy Color experience and enabling connectivity. It's designed specifically for Game Boy Color use. The advert provides a phone number for Nintendo mobile support. This page is an advertisement for the Game Boy Color game Love Hina Party. The game, based on the popular anime series, is priced at 4,500 yen and was released on January 26th. It features minigames, dialogue, and includes over 350 Love Hina quizzes. A special A4 size clear pinup is included as a first print bonus.